Edition of Trailblazer Weekly. As always, I'm your host, Carrick Segmiller. The fall sports season marches on, and today we'll take a look back at last week's results, including women's tennis, volleyball, women's swimming, football, and cross country. Later in the show, football head coach Shane McClure stops by for a mid-season chat, and we'll wrap it all up with a look ahead at this week's schedule. It's all coming up on this edition of Trailblazer Weekly, so stay with us. It all starts right now. Inside this week's edition of Trailblazer Weekly. It was a busy week last week, and we've got all the results right here in the Trailblazer Rewind segment. We start on the court today with the women's tennis team traveling to Grand Junction, Colorado to play 4 matches in 3 days at the Colorado Mesa Maverick Duels. The event served as the heart of the Trailblazers' fall schedule, and the team did not disappoint, going 3-1 in Grand Junction. Now, the Trailblazers opened their trip with an 8-1 win over Colorado Mesa on Thursday, taking 8 of 9 possible points in the match. Dixie State then played 2 matches on Friday, falling to Metro State Denver in the morning match by a 7-2 count before bouncing back with a 9-0 sweep of Colorado Christian in the afternoon match. Dixie State then wrapped up the trip on Friday morning and battled to a 5-4 victory over Colorado State Pueblo. Dixie State trailed 2-1 after doubles play before rallying during singles play to clinch the win. Sophomores Kira Haramis and Maria Kana Goldsmith led the way through the weekend and both finished at 4-0 in singles play. In fact, Haramis didn't drop a single set on the way to her 4 victories. The Trailblazers will resume their 2017-18 schedule in February. To the volleyball court now as the Trailblazers closed a 3-match homestand versus Hawaii Pacific on Friday. The teams had previously played a 5-match thriller in Hawaii, with Dixie State emerging victorious, but this time it would be a little bit closer, with still Dixie State using its home court advantage to sweep the Sharks in straight sets. DSU battled to a 25-21 win in set 1, followed by a 25-17 triumph in set 2. Trailblazers then closed the match with a 25-21 victory in set 3, rallying from a 4-point deficit in the final set to clinch the victory. Again, it's a huge win for the Trailblazers, as they now sit at 4-2 in Pac West play and will head to the Bay Area for a 4-match trip. I would be remiss if I did not mention the spectacular help of the Dixie State football team. It was the volleyball's D-Day match, also baseball team, both basketball teams, softball teams, all the other student athletes were there to support the volleyball team on Friday, and it was a phenomenal atmosphere, and that helped en route to that 3-0 sweep of the Sharks. So good on those teams, and we'll tell you who the volleyball team will play this week a little bit later in the show. To the trails now as the cross-country teams headed to Cedar City on Saturday for the SUU Color Country Invitational. The women's team finished in 4th place with a team time of 1:18.12. Sophomore Alyssa Herring edged out freshman teammate Lainey Wells for 17th place with a time of 15:27.2 in the 4K run. Wells took 18th place with a time of 15:27.3. On the men's side, the Trailblazers recorded a 5th place finish with a team time of 1:43.02. Junior Hunter Chamberlain was the first Trailblazers to cross the line for the team, as he recorded a 19th place finish in the 6K run with a time of 19:30.5. Freshman Tyler Fessler, cracked the top 30 in 28th place with a time of 20:10.8. Now, we don't often get to see cross-country highlights, but I did have the chance to make the trip to Cedar City on Saturday before the football game, and we've put together a highlight recap of the Trailblazers' run in the SUU Invitational.
Runners, set. set.
Had a good time up in Cedar City on Saturday. Happy to be able to go up and put those together. Like I said, don't always get to see the cross-country highlights, but it was fun to get up and to be able to do that. Now, that was the final regular season tune-up for the Trailblazers before they head to the Pac-West Championships in Belmont, California on October 21st. It's time for our first break. We'll continue our look back when we come back with soccer, football, and women's swimming results. We're back right after this timeout.
I take the road less traveled, run free, unwind, unravel someplace outside with lots to do. Green trees, red rocks, and don't forget that blue sky. The sunshine shining, sunshine pouring on me. Think I might just stay a while. Say hooray all day because the sun is gonna shine on me. Sun is gonna shine on me. Sun's gonna shine on me.
So I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back inside Trailblazer Weekly. Our Trailblazer Rewind look back at last week continues as it was a busy week last week. Heading out to Legend Solar Stadium football field as the Trailblazers hosted Shadron State and one of the best passing offenses of the season on Saturday. With the exception of the Central Washington game, the matchup versus the Eagles looked to be the toughest matchup of the year for Dixie State. The game did not disappoint. Dixie State coming away with a 38-24 victory, and we have got all the highlights for you. Let's roll the tape, run it back, and take a look at how this thing broke down. Shadron State got on the board early with a field goal from 37 yards out to take a 3-0 lead. A couple of drives later, Trailblazers would respond with a field goal of their own. Anthony Reyes hitting from 31 yards out. It was 3-3 at that point. Into the second quarter, Dixie State looking to take its first lead of the game. Malik Watson finding Josiah Blandon for a 21-yard touchdown. Dixie State would lead it 10-3, but later in the second, a Dixie State punt is blocked, booted around a couple of times. It goes into the end zone. Shadron State recovers. There was some question. Did the Shadron State defender have the ball with his knee on the ground before he recovered in the end zone? Referees deliberate. They say no. It's a touchdown. It was tied at 10. Almost halftime. Eagles driving. Freshman quarterback Dalton Holst lobbing to the near sideline. But Trayvon Watson, the Dixie State safety, says thank you very much. Picking it off at the 45, getting across the 50 and down to the 20. He's dragged down by the face mask. They'd add another 10 yards to that return. Dixie State, 3 plays later, would cash in. Senior fullback Landon Cook open over the top for the 1-yard touchdown dive. 17-10, Dixie State lead at halftime. Into the second half. Lika Palmer up the middle. The ball is stripped, and it goes right into Trey Mosley, the Shadron State defender's arms. He dances his way into the end zone, and we are tied at 17. But have no fear, Dixie State, the first play of the next drive, Malik Watson finding sophomore receiver DeJuan Dantzler, and he would go 65 yards to the house. What a way to respond from that fumble recovery touchdown, and Dixie State would lead 24-17. Shadron State would then put in a new quarterback, Matt Vinson, and the Eagles' offense came to life. Derek Jackson, a 19-yard run into the end zone to tie it at 24-24. But just like they had all day long, the Trailblazers responded again. They ran 7 run plays, and then the 8th and final play of the drive, a play-action toss open over the top to the fullback Ernest Kiocho to take a 31 28-24 lead. Chadron State midway through the fourth, looking to put another drive together. Benson, the quarterback, is pressured. He lobs it up, and Alex Lilliard picks it off. That would get the ball back for Dixie State, and the Trailblazers would then march 12 plays down the field and 87 yards to seal the deal with this 25-yard touchdown pass from Watson to Blandon, their second connection of the day, 38-24. At that point, Dixie State would get a stop and then be able to ice the game away and kneel it to victory a little bit later. 38-24 victory for the Trailblazers. Malik Watson, big game for him, 15 of 25 through the air for 268 yards and 4 touchdowns. Trayvon Watson defensively, 9 tackles, 7 of those solo tackles, and the big interception to swing the game right before halftime. A big win for Dixie State. Now they host nationally ranked Colorado Mesa on Saturday. We'll talk to head coach Shane McClure about that game here in just a few minutes. To the soccer pitch now, as the men's soccer team opened a 4-match Bay Area trip on Saturday at Notre Dame Dana Muir. The Argonauts struck first less than 6 minutes into the match and added a second goal with 20 seconds left in regulation to seal a 2-0 victory over the Trailblazers. Unfortunately for the men's team, they've now lost 2 straight. They try to turn that around against Dominican a little bit later today in the afternoon. We stay on the pitch now as the women's soccer team also opened its 4-match Bay Area trip on Saturday at Notre Dame Dana Muir. Senior Darian Murdoch opened the scoring in the 43rd minute, give Dixie State a 1-0 halftime lead. Murdoch would add another goal in the second half along with Tana Singley and Jill Bennett to power Dixie State to a 4-0 win over the Argonauts. Both teams will continue their trip today, taking on Dominican. Now, that game was supposed to be played up in San Rafael at Dominican, but because of some fires in the area, some smoke in the air, bad air quality, they've moved it back down to Belmont. They will play that on Notre Dame Dana Muir's field this afternoon. In fact, those games the women's game may already be in progress. We'll have those results for you next week on the show as well as online, DixieStateAthletics.com. To the pool now as the women's swimming team headed to California over the weekend for the PCSC relays and pentathlon. Trailblazers finished in 4th place during the relays on Friday. In all, DSU competed in 9 relay events, posted 5 top 5 finishes en route to collecting 41 total points. Dixie State also posted 6 new school records at the relays. DSU then wrapped up the weekend during the pentathlon on Saturday as 4 Trailblazers posted top 10 showings during the 3 pentathlons. Dixie State will now enjoy a 4-week break from competition before traveling to Alaska for a dual meet at Alaska Fairbanks November 3rd through the 4th. Of course, we remind you that you can catch full recaps for all Trailblazer events online at DixieStateAthletics.com. Head on over, check those out. It's time for another break. When we come back, we'll sit down for a mid-season chat with football head coach Shane McClure. Stick with us. There's a lot more Trailblazer Weekly right after this timeout.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 70 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
Marie, you have pre-diabetes.
Pre-diabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get pre-diabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for pre-diabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Welcome back to Trailblazer Weekly. Of course, football season at all levels in full swing now. In fact, we're already halfway through the Dixie State football season. And here to help me break down the first 6 games of the year is head coach Shane McClure. Coach, thanks for stopping by today. I know it's a busy time of year. You're watching film, you're breaking teams down, getting ready for the next game, but appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about the first half of the year. 3-3 overall, 3-2 on RMAC play. You go back at 500. Overall record. Season didn't get off to maybe the start that you wanted, but when you look at it, what do you see out of the first 6 games of this season?
You know, I would have to concur. I mean, it didn't start the way, any of us wanted it to start, and some of that, I look back and maybe should have expected, but at the same time, you never look and say, oh, we'll lose these first 2 and then we'll start coming back. No, that wasn't the case. But with so many new faces in the program, we brought in a large recruiting class as we continue to try and build this program to national prominence, down the road. We're going to have the influx of the incoming freshmen, a couple of transfers here and there. We're in impact positions and just hadn't assimilated to what we wanted to do in every aspect of our football program at that point. And so, again, it led to some of the things that happened.
Of course, get the win on Saturday to get back to 500 at 3-3 against a team in Chadron State that much improved over last year and had put together some good performances, had a tough trip out to Humboldt before they came here, so a couple of long road trips for them. But I thought your guys really bounced back from some adversity in that game and maybe put together the most complete game that we've seen from this team all season long. I would even dare say use maybe to this point a signature win for them. The defense played so solidly and the offense did what they were supposed to do. When you look at the Chadron State game, do you see the same and the whole team coming together and kind of peaking at this point, not peaking, but getting to the best point they've been all year?
Yeah, we're getting better. Yeah, and that's really what. And I talked to the team yesterday prior to going out to practice, and really, giving ourselves a report card. And I asked every student athlete to give themselves a report card. Have you gotten better? Have you stayed the same, or have you gotten worse since week 1? And again, as a program, as a team, at this team, the 2017 version of Dixie State football is we got better. And I do agree with you that Saturday was our most complete football game in all phases. I thought we had some really standout performances, but at the same time, I felt like we played a really solid football game across the board. Defensively, we gave up, I think, 10 points on the day, to a team that came in averaging over 30. The offense put together some really nice drives. We weren't able to finish, which is something we've got to work on. Defensively, we've got to do a better job of taking care, getting the football away from our opponents. So, in no way, shape, or form are where we need to be as we face some of the people that we have coming up on our schedule. But again, it was a nice win. It was something to build upon, and we do see progress.
Coming into the year, we sat down in a preseason interview, and you said we probably want to go about 60-40 run pass, which has been the case so far. Obviously, you had say Jay Luongo out doing his thing. You add in the fifth-year transfer in Jeff Kopperich, and he's starting to come on late. And then we've even seen Lika Palmer get into the mix over the last couple of games. And of course, Blake Barney is always there, kind of that wild card in the run game. But how pleased with you have you been with the run game and kind of the heart and soul of this offense so far this season?
Good, and again, we continue to get better. When we had early on, we had a lot of issues as far as just some assignment things going on. Juju or Jeffrey, however you want to put it, Mr. Coppridge, running the ball the way that we wanted him to run the ball. Sajay's been just awesome from day one. Now, he missed this last week, and knock on wood, we'll get him back for this upcoming football game. Lika's coming along as a true freshman, and getting better by the week. So, we are always going to hang our hat on the run game, and I believe in that as a football coach. It's going to be something that's part of us always. And again, as with the rest of us, we just keep getting better.
Of course, to have a solid run game, you've got to be able to throw the ball from time to time again. And Malik Watson, another fifth-year transfer, I feel like over the last couple of weeks has really started to string together some good games, making good decisions. Last week throwing for almost 300 yards. Where do you kind of grade out that passing game so far through the first 6 games of the season?
It's a work in progress, and I would agree with your sentiment in that Malik has gotten better. Still have a long way to go. I mean, this past Saturday was by far his best performance of the year, and I really feel like, when Blake got back into the flow of playing quarterback, it took some of the pressures off of Malik to have to be the guy all the time, and again, put him in a comfort zone that has allowed him now to grow with the offense as we continue to move forward.
Talk about some of those receivers, and we'll talk about defensively real quick also, but some of Malik's favorite targets. You've seen Josiah Blandon had a couple breakout games over the last couple of weeks, 2 touchdowns against Chadron State. Casey Allison is always a guy, it's like his hands are glue. You throw him the ball, he's going to catch it. Doesn't matter where he's at, or playmakers in Orlando. Wallace, even DeJuan Dantzler getting into the mix against Chadron State. Grade out the receivers through this first 6 games.
Yeah, and it's something I did talk about in the preseason. I felt like our receiving core was probably the strength of our football team, and that is proven to be true. And when you can throw 4 guys out there like you spoke about with Josiah and Orlando, Casey, and DeJuan, DeJuan actually coming on now again after a rough year last year with some injuries. I mean, I don't know if there's a better tandem or group, I guess, in the conference, so, there's a lot of weapons out there, and they all have a different skill set, which is great, and then you throw Brad Duran into it, who's honest to goodness, I call him Steady Eddie because he does everything right. He finds ways to get open. He blocks well, so again, I mean, he's kind of that 5th cog in that whole group, and no, it's exciting to watch, and we just got to be able to utilize their abilities within our offense and make sure, there is only one football, but, that we're spreading it around the way we need to.
Defensively, which I know is kind of your side of the ball as a head coach, you're bouncing back and forth, but former defensive coordinator yourself, I know you're privy to the defensive side. You got a lot of leaders this year. One guy that you wanted to get on field last year in Trayvon Watson, but just some things transfer-wise that he was not able to get on the field last year. Now you've got him, and it's showing why you want him out there. He's got 44 tackles, a couple interceptions, a bunch of pass breakups, and he seems like he's kind of that heart and soul along Mike Jones in that secondary.
Yeah, no question. I mean, Trayvon is an emotional leader. He's an emotional young man. Absolutely love him to death. I mean, sometimes we got to kind of steer those emotions one way or the other, but a heck of a football player, great athlete, knows for the football, obviously with the interceptions, but also with the tackles and those type of things. And him and Michael together back there are really, really good tandem, kind of fire and ice if you want. I mean, Michael will come lay the hat a little bit, and Trayvon can run around and make some plays in the deep middle. And, so no, it's been nice to have those guys around. And, Trayvon, we did have to wait a year, but, it was worth the wait.
Defensively, just as a whole, I mean, coming against Chadron State, one of the best passing teams in the conference coming into the game. I mean, you limit them, can't remember what exactly the count was, I think almost 130 yards under their season average in passing. They only complete 16 passes, and then the run defense was pretty stout as well. This defense seems like about the midway point in the season, really starting to be in a spot where if the offense doesn't put us in the exact situation that we want to be in, that's okay. We're going to get the ball back, or we're going to hold to a field goal attempt. We're going to do what we need to do to help our team win.
Yeah, and I am really happy with the way the defense is coming along. It's 2 weeks in a row now. 2 weeks ago we gave up 6 points. This past week we gave up 10 points. You know, in a college football game, if you give up 16 points in over 2 weeks, you're probably playing pretty well. You know, and again, are we ever satisfied? I do coach the linebackers still, even as the head coach, so I am privy to it. But, you know, we're not satisfied. There's a lot of room to grow, as we talked about with the offense. You know, I don't think you're ever going to find a coach who's satisfied with the performance. But, you know, we're making strides. We're getting better. We're learning how to play within the system that Coach Howe, you know, has us playing within. And again, it's a work in progress, but getting better by the week.
Running out of time quickly here on the segment. Wanted to ask about Colorado Mesa real quick as well. Another nationally ranked opponent coming into Legends Solar Stadium. You know, what's your quick 30-second, you know, synopsis of this Colorado Mesa team that's coming in on Saturday? They
are awesome. And again, they remind me, and I'm going to say this now, what we will be in a couple years. You know, they recruit a lot of the same kids. They coach the same way. They have the skill level kids that we have here that the rest of the RMAC does not. You know, so it's going to be exciting. We're excited about the game. You know, Russ does a great job over there, so we're excited to get those guys on our home turf, and I'm sure they have us circled after last year's deal over there, but it'll be fun.
Should be a fun football game on Saturday. Coach, thanks again for stopping by today. Always great to have you on the show.
Appreciate it, Carrick.
Trailblazers again will host number 20 Colorado Mesa on Saturday at Legends Solar Stadium. It's now time for our final break of the show. We'll wrap up the show with a look ahead at this week's schedule right after this timeout.
I take the road less traveled, run free, unwind, unravel, someplace outside with lots to do. Green trees, red rocks, and don't forget that blue sky. The sunshine shining, sunshine pouring on me. Think I might just stay a while. Say hooray all day because the sun is gonna shine on me. Sun is gonna shine on me. Sun's gonna shine on me.
Your daughter is having trouble learning French. Do you A, hire a tutor?
Bonjour.
B, enforce a French-only rule at home? Or C, watch some foreign films? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back inside the CEC TV studios, this week's edition of Trailblazer Weekly. Before we wrap up the show, I want to take a quick look ahead at this week's schedule. Of course, it all starts today. As I mentioned, men's and women's soccer at Dominican. That game that was supposed to be played yesterday then got moved to today because of the poor air quality into Wednesday. Volleyball at Notre Dame de Namur, their first match of a 4-game Bay Area road trip, into Thursday. Men's and women's soccer at Academy of Art, and then continuing on into Friday, volleyball at Holy Names. The schedule does get a little bit more busy on Saturday. Only one home event, though, and that's the football game against number 20 Colorado Mesa. You also have men's and women's soccer at Holy Names, as well as the volleyball team at Dominican into next week. Women's golf at the Sonoma State Fall Invitational, and the volleyball team at Academy of Art, and then into Tuesday, women's golf finishing at the Sonoma State Invitational. And that is our look ahead, and that will do it for today's show. Remind you that you can catch all episodes of Trailblazer Weekly on demand at the Dixie State Athletics YouTube page. Thanks again for watching. I'm Carrick Segmiller. We'll see you next week on Trailblazer Weekly.